Why should I forgive? It's a question I've asked myself many times, especially when someone has really hurt me. And it can be really tough to even think about forgiving someone who has upset you. So, if you've ever found yourself wondering how to forgive someone who hurt you and why you should even consider it, then today I'm sharing 5 healthy ways to approach forgiveness. So, let's talk about forgiving. Hi, I'm Jeremy Godwin, and I talk about looking after your mental health with simple tips based on quality research and my own experience of dealing with mental health challenges. Elton John once sang, "Sorry seems to be the hardest word," and if you think apologizing is difficult, then let me introduce you to its much tougher cousin, forgiveness. Forgiveness is quite possibly the only generous act that is also a selfish act. Because in forgiving someone, we actually do it more for ourselves than we do the other person. Why do I say that? Because the opposite of forgiveness is punishment. And when we hold on to hurt, anger, and betrayal, then what we're really doing is punishing ourselves. Now, that definitely does not mean that you let yourself be taken advantage of or manipulated by other people, but it does mean that you choose to release the negative and instead focus on having a realistically optimistic approach to life. And that means having the belief that things can and will get better and being prepared to make changes if somebody tries to take advantage of that optimism. So forgiveness is about choosing to let go of anger so that you can then work through and release all the stuff that often goes with holding on to negative past events like hurt, betrayal, sadness, disappointment, bitterness, fear, loss of power, loss of confidence, etc. And it's a choice to let go of resentment and realize that the best revenge is no revenge. It's actually better to have peace of mind than to try and make someone suffer. One of the most important aspects of good mental health is your ability to live in the present. And that means to learn from the past and to let go of negative stuff that has happened, as well as being able to hope and plan for the future, while also recognizing that nothing is ever set in stone. So the thing is that the only constant in life is change. And so that means being prepared to not be prepared and learning how to be okay with that. And it's also about fully living in this moment and being completely present in the present. Now, I bring all of that stuff up, which takes time, daily effort, and perseverance, and I share it because the more you work on the things that bring you peace and calm, and you let go of all the other stuff like resentment, the more of those moments of calm you'll experience until eventually that becomes the norm and those negative feelings become less frequent. It still requires daily effort. Nothing in life is something that you just do once and set and forget. It takes work. The thing is that forgiveness helps you to release the stuff that holds you back from peace and calm. It allows you to let go of grudges so that they don't follow you into your future, because they have a habit of tainting all the good stuff in your life going forward. So, with all of that in mind, here are 5 tips to help you approach forgiveness in a thoughtful and healthy way. Starting with, be honest with yourself. Because all journeys start with working out where you are at the beginning, and when it comes to forgiveness, it's really important to be honest with yourself about your feelings towards whatever the situation is. Being open to forgiveness means actually being open to the value of forgiveness. And that's something that only you can do. So if you find the idea of forgiving someone to be challenging, then you need to begin by being really honest with yourself about why that might be. Look, I get it. When people hurt us, it can feel really painful to even think about letting go of the anger or disappointment, but holding on to those emotions will not do anything positive for you. Resentment has a way of festering, and it can cause a lot of damage the longer it's left to grow. Okay, next, acknowledge your emotions. Be clear about how you feel, but do that in an objective way, rather than allowing yourself to get bogged down by your emotions. You do that by naming your emotions and being sure that you can identify where they're coming from and what you're really feeling. For example, I know that I've often become very angry when I feel like I've been wronged by someone, but that anger is actually masking hurt or betrayal or insecurity or rejection. This goes back to what I've said in previous episodes of these videos and my podcast, which is that not all of your thoughts are true. And often they're masking a much deeper pain or a bigger issue because we're just instinctively reacting rather than taking the time to think about them and respond in a more thoughtful way. Sometimes we're actually more angry at ourselves than the other person. And in my upcoming book, Let's Talk About Mental Health Volume 1, I talk about how to work through self-forgiveness. It's available from July 7 on Amazon and Apple Books, and it's linked in the description below. So the tip here is to name your emotions and identify where they're coming from, so that you can then do my next point, which is understand your reactions. Once you know what you really feel, take the time to understand those feelings. If it's rejection, why? If it's betrayal, why? When we look our demons in the eye, they begin to lose their ability to whisper away in the dark corners of our minds. Because when we can finally see them, we can confront those negative thoughts and begin to take away their power. If this why stuff is proving difficult for you, and I know it can be for a lot of people, especially when you're dealing with trauma, then it might be helpful to work with a counselor or therapist, or you could consider joining a support group that aligns to your values and beliefs. And those outlets help you to process and understand your emotions about the situation, event, or person so you can work through it. Okay, next, choose to forgive, because forgiveness really is a choice. It's a choice we make for our own peace of mind. And it doesn't just magically happen because we wish it to, but instead it involves making the choice to let go and then turning that decision into action every single day. Forgiveness takes time, daily effort, and perseverance. And it's a journey, not a destination. You might find yourself having to consciously forgive over and over again. And if so, that's okay. Just take things one step at a time, one day at a time, and remind yourself why you chose to forgive in the first place. And so then my next tip is choose to take back your power, because you are in control of your life. No matter what happened in the past, it's in the past, so you can leave it there. You live here now, so live here now. Make decisions every day that are in the best interests of your overall health and well-being, and strive to put what you've learned from your experiences into practice so that you can make changes for the better in order to rebuild and maintain your power. You are not a victim, and you are not just a survivor, you are a thriver, and you have the power to shape your life into whatever you want it to be. The choice to do so is yours. All you have direct control over are your own words, actions, and feelings. However, they are the three most powerful defenses in the world when you choose to wield them positively and assertively. The choice is yours, as it is with all things related to your well-being. So, what choice will you make today? Let me know in the comments below. And if letting go is something you struggle with, then watch this video next about letting go for better mental health. And subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. Plus, check out my weekly podcast, Let's Talk About Mental Health. It's linked in the description below. Thanks so much for joining me today. Take care and talk to you next time.